Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year. How are you guys doing? Y'all know the saying, New Year, new me. And listen, I have on the Apple Watch and I decided to put it on today. This is the first day I've worn it all year. But I decided to put it on today because I said I'm going to count my steps. I'm going to count my steps, but y'all know how that can go. But I'm like, it's a new year. I'm gonna drink my water, and but the main thing is I'm gonna do what God called me to do. I am excited. I'm excited. Y'all know I had COVID. I had COVID back in December, and so this interview was delayed by a week. And I'm just so grateful that God has put incredible people in my life that are willing to deal with the fact that Tamika was sick. Tamika was sick, but I'm so glad. Listen, I have Jamie Coles Burnette that is hanging out with me tonight. She is the author of Holy Disruptors. If you're anything like me and you love devotionals, this is definitely one that you're going to want to put inside of your library. So without any further ado, I got to add Miss Jamie, Minister Jamie. Are you minister, pastor, apostle? Look, I give everybody all kinds of names. Like, you get all kinds of titles when you're here. Jamie, how are you?
I am well, Dr. Hall. Thank you so much for having me this evening. So glad to be here.
You are so beautiful. You are
Thank
so gorgeous. I,
you.
I was thinking that when you
Oh,
first came on backstage, and I was like, she is just so beautiful, and you have such a
thank you.
beautiful spirit.
Mm,
And
praise
we're
God.
twinning with our hats today and with our dark lip. Okay,
Yes, come
listen, like
on.
we're definitely doing it.
We're
I
here.
want to I want to know, where do you think your peace comes from? Where do you think
Ooh.
you having this beautiful disposition comes from?
Definitely, it comes from being rooted and grounded in God.
Hmm.
Psalm 1 is definitely one of my favorite scriptures where it talks about being like that tree planted by rivers of water. And truly, it is only the grace of God that I'm here. And He gets all the glory for everything that happens in my life. And so that's where really it all comes from.
It is amazing because we'll say we have this saying that's out now where people are like, listen, it doesn't matter how well you speak in tongues, but if you're nasty when you open your
That's
mouth, that just it really doesn't matter. And you're and
that's
you're
right.
right. I mean, the peace of God just means so much. Can I
That's
just
right.
ask you very quickly, is there an
Sure.
echo with me? I just want to make sure there's no echo.
Nope, you're perfect.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Because I realized my AirPod is still in the case. So I usually like to have it. I usually like to have it in my ears. Listen, I want to say hello to everybody that is joining us. As you all know, we are broadcasting across many different platforms. And tonight we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, but we are also on Amazon Live. So if you are not over on Amazon, do me a favor, jump on over, go to tamikahall.live so that you can watch this as well. But while we're here, I just want to give a couple of shout outs. I want to say hello to Robin. Robin, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Baby, we are wearing these hats, right? We are wearing these hats. Cassandra, thank you so much for hanging out with us over on Amazon Live. I appreciate you for that. Tina, how are you doing? Tina is always laughing at me, and I know I'm always saying something, but Tina was waiting for this interview last week, Jamie. Tina was like, Tamika, I
Oh,
thought you said you had a interview happening. Tina
oh.
was waiting for this. So
Hi,
Tina is
Tina.
joining us. Listen, you guys, do us a favor. Drop down in the comments where you are tuning in from. Do that for me. Miss Danae, how are you? I love that you're here with me. Maya, how are you, dear? Thank you so much for hanging out with us as well. Listen, y'all are just blowing it up. Shanice, my middle namesake, thank you so much for hanging out with us as well. And I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to be able to speak to our minister of the interview. I'll give you guys a moment to do that. We got Kenya Hutchins Hollis from North Carolina. Tina is from
Yay.
Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We have
Wow.
Robin from Cambridge, Maryland,
All
and Maya
right.
Foster, who who is tuned in from Salisbury. We have Cassandra McCrae that is from Florida. So
Yes.
Montclair, California. So thank you for hanging
Wow.
out with us all the way over there. Aisha Edmonds, you rock. Thank you for hanging out with us
Hey,
over in Charlotte. Y'all do me a favor. Share this out. and then jump over on Amazon Live. Do that for me, okay? So all right, so we kind of did that, and I'll be jumping back and forth. Jamie, tell us about your book. You put out a new book just a couple of months ago, and your book. Oh, hold on, wrong screen. Your book is Holy Disruptors: A Christmas
Yes.
Season Devotional Journey with Biblical Women. And what I love about the book, it's not just for the Christmas season. Like it's
Yes.
not. But you
Yes.
you take a moment and you tell us about the book.
Yes. So this book was actually born out of an idea. I had spoken with my aunt. Actually, she's gone on to be with the Lord. But we wanted to create something that would uplift and empower women, having women in mind. And so this book has actually had many iterations before the form that it has now. But I wanted to present something, and God gave me something to share about women who were disruptive of the status quo. And if you know anything about the Bible and biblical times, you know just by the fact that women were named or mentioned that that was a disruption. And so in today's society and in every time, really, God has called us as believers to disrupt the status quo, to
Hmm.
disrupt harmful patterns, systems, institutions, organizations, strongholds, you name it. God has called us to be holy disruptors. And so these are the 14 women that God especially drew my attention to in this season to talk about how they disrupted things in their day and what we can learn from them.
So when we're talking about disruption, it's really amazing because you're right. If a woman was even named, like
That's
we see
right.
where so many women, like we have the Shunammite woman,
Right.
who just wasn't even named, but is a huge piece to what took place in the Bible.
Right.
But when we talk about disruption, why do you think women are afraid to speak up now? I mean, I think we're kind
Mm.
of on both sides of the coin nowadays, where you have some women that are really going forth, and we have other women that their mouths they almost feel like they have to be shut because
Mm-hmm.
people are trying to keep our mouths closed. Where do you think that's coming from?
Mm. I think really it's an inside job because once we as women realize who God has created us to be. Look, the Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 2, when we were created out of the side of the man. And the Bible says that God built the woman. The Hebrew word is that God built us. And so we are built to last. And once we walk in that identity and realize that God has not created us to just be a wallflower or some type of just trophy in a case, but God has given us a voice, then we will realize that we've got to step forward. We've got to open our mouths and just be who God has made us to be.
I love the fact that you brought in the definition that we were built for him. We
We
were
were
built for
built.
him, and we do have to understand exactly who we are. That we're not to be stepped on. That's not
That's
who
right.
God called us to be.
That's right.
Not at all. Cassandra says, I'm a disruptor.
Come
I love
on.
it. I'm a
Come on.
disruptor. So you said that the book went through different forms before what it
Yes.
is today.
Yes.
Um, did you I'm gonna tell you something. I feel like some of my most potent books they've gone through stuff like where I've lost the entire manuscript or things like that, and I finally had to understand that when things like that happen, it's some
Hmm.
type of warfare. So did you
Hmm.
kind of go through any type of warfare when you were putting this together, and if so, would you mind sharing that with us?
Sure, absolutely. I think the biggest warfare I had was writer's block. I
Huh.
got writer's block. And I was so frustrated because I am an overachiever by nature. And so I set goals and make plans for myself and deadlines. And then when those things don't happen, it really kind of rattles me. And so I think the biggest thing was also realizing that the book didn't have to be perfect, but you
Hmm.
have to realize the timing of God. So I wanted to write more, but this is what God had given me for this season. And I knew that no matter what, I had to release what I have. And that's a word for somebody. Release what you have. Stop waiting for it to be what you think is perfect. If God gave it to you and you're sensitive to the timing of God, give out what God gave you.
Give out what God gave you. Friends, we are talking to Jamie Coles Burnette, the author of Holy Disruptors, a Christmas season devotional journey with biblical women. If you're not over on Amazon Live, and I see you guys piling on here, thank you so much for that. Please do that. Please support this woman of God and make sure that, and it tells Amazon that I'm super cool, right? So make sure that you purchase her book below while you have it. Alicia says, oh no, Cassandra says, release what you have. She has a bunch of exclamation points behind that. Maya says, yes, give what you have. I'm snatching it.
Come on and
I'm
snatch it.
taking it back. Miss Danae says, release what you have. So you profiled 14 women.
Yes.
So talk to us about some of the women that you profiled and why you chose to put them in there for this particular season.
Sure. I have always been a fan of the underdog because I think even in my own life, I've been a little bit of that kind of unassuming, and these women, many of them, they are not women that you hear about all the time, and some of them, they're only mentioned once in the scripture. And so even though they're only mentioned once, their story, if we actually sit down and read it, is power packed. And so I think that's a lesson for us that you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be the person with all the pedigree. You don't have to be the person with the greatest background for God to use you, because some of these stories are quite messy. They are quite messy, but God got in the midst of their story and made it his story. And so that is what I really hope that people take away from this, that you don't have to have what you consider to be the greatest story, but when God gets in the midst of your story, it becomes a God story.
So I know that you initially released it for the Christmas season. You released this just a couple of months ago. Why did you choose that season for that to be why you released, or when you released your book?
Sure. Well, as we approach usually the end of the year, we're usually very reflective. We're thinking about what we want to plan and accomplish for the new year, and we're praying into that and leaning into that. And so there are a lot of devotionals out there that are geared towards seasons like Lent. That's a common time, or just the other months of the year. But I really didn't see a lot out there for Christmas time. And I said, that's really an overlooked time when people really are, when they have that downtime and are really getting with God. It's a good time to become inspired and allow the women of the text to speak to us about how we can be holy disruptors in the new year and beyond.
I just love that. Holy disruptors. What would you say to the woman who is afraid to step into who God called her to be?
I would say take the limits off. Just take the limits off and get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. Because here's the thing about God. God will only go as far as you allow him to go. So while we often think that God is waiting on us, while we're waiting on God, God is waiting on us. So I grew up, I was shy. I didn't like to you could have never told me that I would be in front of people ministering the gospel as a child, because I didn't like it. But when your commitment and your yes to God overrides your fear, when your yes to God becomes more important to you than your comfort, your fear, staying where you are, then you'll open up your mouth and you'll realize either I'm going to stay stuck or I'm going to move forward into all that God has made me to be.
I love it. Take the limits off. Danae says, take the limits off. Tina says, fear not. That's right, y'all. That's right.
That's right.
Yes. Alicia says, take the limits off. I think that's resonating with everybody. And
yes.
I just think, every year, the beginning of the year, like you said, they're reflective. People have resolutions or what have you. But at the end of the day, God's like, I have need of you.
That's right.
I have need of you. Tina says, preach, beautiful woman.
Oh, praise God.
Maya says, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Cassandra is so funny. Cassandra says she's wearing that ruby woo red lipstick. Okay. Since we're being holy disruptors, honey. Since we're being holy disruptors. Have you ever had, and let's even just talk about appearance, right? You're very beautiful. Have you ever had people not take you seriously in ministry, in your being a holy disruptor, because of the way that you look?
I'm not sure. I can't pinpoint a time when I feel it was the way that I look, but maybe my personality, because uh, out here in the regular streets, I guess if you would call it that, I'm really very quiet and I don't say a lot. And so people tend to kind of overlook or think I'm unassuming because I don't say a lot until, I really feel inspired to say something. And so I've had to fight a little extra harder sometimes to make my voice heard, because when people are not used to hearing it and you finally speak up, they're like, whoa, where did this come from? And you have to own the fact that, yeah, this is my voice, this is who God made me to be, and what I have to say is important. So we see women in the book like that. Huldah was like that. The daughters of Zelophehad were like that. They had to have that courage that they were going to set a precedent for their nation, and that's what they did. So
You literally did pull women from the Bible that nobody preaches about them. We don't have Bible study about them. How did you find these women?
Well, I have been a lifelong student of the Bible. And so as I've read the Bible, these women have stood out to me. They just connected with me. And God just began to pour out, give me downloads about how these women can inspire us. And I connected with them even with my own story. And that's what my hope is that it's not just something that you read about from an outsider looking in, but that you connect with these women. I guarantee one of these 14 women are going to connect with you somewhere.
One of them. I'm excited to be able to dig in, and I was telling you, I ordered the book. I like having a physical book. Let me ask you this: how do you like reading your books now? Do you prefer ebook, paperback, audiobook? Like, what's your favorite now?
Oh my goodness. I prefer the convenience of ebooks because I can have multiple volumes, just in one device. But there
Yeah.
are times when it comes to the Bible, there's something about having a paper
Yes.
Bible that I can mark up and highlight and all of that good stuff. So
I remember being younger, and I used to just highlight passages in the Bible. I wasn't even reading them. I just felt like, the more worn your Bible looked, it just made you look like you were more of a Christian or something. I don't.
And the highlights were pretty.
Yes, the highlights were so pretty. But I'm excited to be able to dig into this devotion. People that follow me, they know devotionals are my thing, and so I'm really, really excited about that. I also know that you have Soul Sabbath Live that is coming up. Talk to us, let us know what that is and how we can connect with you.
Yes, Soul Sabbath Live is a broadcast that I do twice a month, the first and third Saturday at 10 a.m. of each month, and it's a time where I just come and share, the concept of Sabbath. About resting, having that moment to take a breather, relax, reflect, and get in touch and connect with God is really important. And so God gave me this. And so I come on twice a month for about an hour, and we just share what God has to say, and we let you get back to the rest of your Saturday, but hopefully that it gives you that inspiration that you need to carry you through the weekend.
So do you have one that's coming up anytime soon?
Yes, I do, on the first Saturday in February, which is February the 7th, February the 5th.
Okay.
That is going to be our next Soul Sabbath Live at 10 a.m. And you can watch on Facebook Live if you go to our ministry page.
Okay, great. Well, let us know, how can we connect with you? How can we find you online, offline, all of those great things?
Sure. The easiest way to connect with me is through my website, which is www.jcbministries.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JCB Ministries. And also, if you are interested in some of the other ministry resources that we have, including inspirational wear, as well as ordering directly the book, you can go to www.thesoulsabbathsuite.com. And so we just love to connect. I love to connect with me on social media, direct message me, prayer requests, just wanting to say hello and connect. I'd love to do that.
And you're just so sweet. You're just so sweet with it. Listen, you guys, please, I need for you, if you have not done it yet, please support Jamie and make sure that you grab her book. It's available in all formats: Kindle, hardcover, paperback. You can get it right below. If you are on Amazon Live, you can do that. Thank you all so much that you've been tuned in, you've been hanging out with us tonight. Oh wait, let me see here. Is that JCB or JCV? Oh, you got me. JCB.
B
Yes,
as in
yes.
boy.
Okay. Yeah, because it was taking me a second. I'm like, what are we talking about? Look, I'm always in a different version of the Bible. So I was like, is that a version of the Bible? Like
I
for a
hear
hot
you.
second. That's how you know you're super saved, Jamie. Like,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, it's the first one, Miss Danae, JCB.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm saying, I'm like, what version of the Bible is that?
I
Like,
was low key thinking the same thing.
you were? Yeah.
I
was
was.
like, yeah. So listen, you guys, Rome Wilkerson, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight over on Amazon Live as well. Thank you guys so much. Listen, Jamie, thank you so much for stopping by Tamika Hall Live. Please don't be a stranger.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be hanging out with you on Soul Sabbath Live. I'm going to put it in on my calendar so I can be hanging out with you. And we definitely have to stay connected.
Yes,
listen, you guys, I want you to make sure that you follow Jamie. Go to her website, www.jc not a Bible, but it's jcbministries.com. Connect with her on Instagram and on Facebook, JCB Ministries with an S, friends, and then also the Soul Sabbath Suite.com. And she has some of the cutest apparel on there, so you're just going to want to kind of hunt around there as well. Until next time, you guys, remember that I love you. Remember, you were created to make God famous. He's anointed you to do hard things. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you.